Richie. Richie. You want me to get rid of all of this?
Yeah.
We pick up episode 7 with newly sober Richie. After the events of episode 6, Richie's been on the wagon for a while. He's doing a lot of introspection, and he's cleaned up and much more lucid and much more calm. The company is desperately now trying to stay afloat, and one of the things they do is agree to sell the private plane.
Loomis said you.
Nouvelle Records.
And wants to buy.
Zach, knowing Richie's history, insists on going with him. The two of them have 5 hours on a plane alone together, and of course, because they're old friends, eventually they do start to bond again.
Look, Elvis is never gonna leave his label.
That's not what I heard.
While they're at the party, Zach overhears 2 record executives talking about the idea that Elvis is unhappy with RCA.
He's in Vegas. An hour away we go, we find out.
So they get to Vegas, they meet Colonel Tom Parker, who's very famously managed Elvis Presley throughout his entire career. And Elvis is, of course, a shadow of his former self.
What is this?
Zach is beside himself with grief of this is what Elvis has become.
The king of rock and roll is singing about lettuce.
Okay, just take it easy, champ.
Richie decides if he's gonna meet Elvis Presley, he's gotta do it alone. He can't bring Zach there, he can't risk Zach blowing this. And Richie gets to pitch Elvis Presley by himself, without Zach, without the Colonel, and actually starts to make a lot of headway. He connects with Elvis, he says all the right things.
You get it, man.
And it's interesting for us to think like, wow, even in our fictional world, had Elvis gone and been with Richie or somebody like Richie in real life, maybe the Elvis story would have had a different end. But certainly that never happened. Elvis continued to perform in Vegas, and of course the tragedy of his short life played out in 1977.
Get involved.
Richie's experiment with sobriety in this episode has yielded him nothing. The rationale for him by the end of it is, what's the point? You know, I tried to be a good boy and it got me nowhere. And also throughout the course of the episode, he keeps seeing the number 18. He saw it on the tail number of the plane, he saw it on a bottle of scotch, and he's convinced the number 18 is a sign.
18 player wins. 5 in a row! You can't lose. I've seen this before.
Zach feels like he can kind of get away with whatever he wants to do.
I love you.
You too.
Yeah.
Having a great time. It's all going pretty well. Of course, it goes south when he realizes that these 2 girls he was with stole the $90,000 from him. And as we come to realize that's not exactly the truth, but Zach feels terrible. And now he's on equal footing with Richie in terms of the colossal screw-up. Richie keeps this close to the vest, and it's kind of one of the more horrible things that Richie has done, but he can't bring himself to be honest enough to say he screwed up again. He cannot look this guy in the eye and say, I just lost $90,000 of our money at a blackjack table because I was convinced that he was getting a sign from God, when in fact he was just reading into something that wasn't really there. There's a great shot at the end of the episode when they're on the plane and Richie goes back to drinking and he puts the straw next to the glass on the book and the 2 rings of the water, and the straw make the number 18, and it's just a nice little send-off to the episode.